Now, what's Don Kirk up to?
Don Kirk now, he has terrorised, wreaked havoc in the gardens of numerous NRL stars. Let's see how he gets on when he heads out to the bush.
G'day, I'm Don Kirk, and can you smell that, viewers? That's right, it's the sweet smell of the country. Because today, we're up at Newcastle to visit the Knights back rower, Steve Simpson, at his hobby farm. Hobbies. I collect stamps.
And cut.
Oh, what's that smell, Peter? Yuck, was that you, Kate?
Oh, you're standing in poo.
Oh, yuck.
Hey, Don.
Peter, get this... Oh.
Steve, mate, nice to meet you.
Did you do that?
Oh, just the cows, mate.
Cows, Peter?
It's a
you
farm.
said there'd be no cows.
It's a farm.
I hate cows. Yeah, how long you had the property for, Shane?
It's Steve, Don.
Yep. Yeah, it's certainly beautiful. You can almost smell the wilderness, can't you? Oh!
What's electric fence there, Don?
Oh, the idiot has an electric fence. Peter, I think they're going to attack. Oh, God! Well, who said farming was hard work, hey? No, I'm only joking, Steve. What is the hardest part about farming?
It'd definitely be the fencing, Don.
Fencing. I love fencing. It's not hard work. It's great. You want to have a go?
Yeah, I'm always fencing in.
I'll be back in a minute. OK, come on, let's go.
Where's Don?
Where's your sword? Let's go.
What are you doing, mate?
Where's your sword?
Fencing, mate. Keep the cows in, bit of fencing.
You really think this fencing? Are you being serious?
No, who was joking?
Good, of course. It's you're really funny. I keep forgetting how funny you are.
Shut up. Well, Steve, what's happening with the cow here?
Don, she's about to give birth, mate.
Well, lucky Dr. Don brought his gloves. What we're going to do, we're going to check and see if that bubby's OK, righto? Here we go.
It's Don, the one below, mate. You right, mate?
I'm stuck. Give me a 1, 2, 3. I wish that was mud. Take a look at this, kids. Uncle Don's going to hop on Steve's.
Tractor, Don.
Gee, tractor. Exactly.
You sure you know what you're doing, man?
Oh, don't know what I'm doing. Worked on a farm for 2 weeks. Look at... Oh, I'll just kick her over. Oh, feel that. Oh, it's out of control. Steve?
Hey, you right there?
Get us off.
Oh, no. Not over the back, mate.
Oh, what?
Not over the back.
Don! Oh. Get him.
Oh, Peter. Oh, no.
Oh, that's not good.
Now I'm gone.
Come on.
I can see Kenny Rogers.
Up you go, as long as it's not Jamie.
He's all right.
Brilliant, Don. Speaking of Steve Simpson, we're going to get a little break. Stay with us, much more to come.
Coming up after the break, we visit our favourite Manly tragics, Tim and Tom. Chloe Maxwell learns a few moves from pop sensation Kelly Rowland. And we delve into the private lives of Jason and Rebecca Stevens on Shaken with the Stevens.
We might come over here now to the skipper, the bench skipper. Was that weird for you, being the skipper off the bench?
Oh, it was still something I was really proud of, to be named captain in the team, and I think in a situation like that, I was prepared to play anywhere and do anything to get the result on the night for New South Wales, which it didn't happen, but still going forward, I'm prepared to play anywhere and do anything I can to get the result.
Mate, sweet.
Yeah.
Given Jared's a fullback, and it looks like he'll be there again. Are you willing to play 5'8"? Have you had enough experience there to play in a big arena?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, any player likes to start the game for any team, whether it's their club team or Origin. I think it's probably a big call to put me in a position that I haven't played a lot of recently, and probably to guys who play in that position for their clubs probably deserve that shot a bit more.
Let's talk about the racist issue with Andrew Johns, because you were in the room when it happened. And I mean, here we are, 2 weeks later, it's still going on. I mean, isn't it time that everyone got over it?
Yeah, I mean, it's disappointing that it's been played out in the media so much, and it's still going on 2 weeks later. I think anyone who's close to Joey knows that he's not a racist person. That's me. He's like an older brother to me, Joey is, and I'm really close to him. But to see, him and Timana's friendship be broken like this is really tough on myself and other people who are close to him. So hopefully it's done and they can both work it out and everyone can get on with it.
Have they made contact, do you know, at all to try and sort something out?
I think, Joey's made contact with Timana and still going forward. I mean, Joey's prepared to do anything to get this settled.
Now, and what of Timana? Because, we saw him on Monday night in the Newcastle Parramatta game. He went nuts for the first 10 minutes. I mean, we couldn't believe what we were seeing, but it's totally out of character for him, really.
Yeah, I mean, he's an aggressive player, Timana, which is great to have, but I guess controlled aggression is what you need out of a player, and there was obviously a lot of aggression that had built up in the 10 days in the lead-up to this game.
I think to his defence, he's played a lot of those years. Like, come in, he's made some big hits and made some big impact. The good thing is, Timana went and saw the Social Justice Commissioner, Mick Goiter, and his last comment was from that meeting, I want to move on and get back to playing footy, and I want others to be able to move on as well. I think that's Moon and Joey, and hopefully we can move on from the incident.
All right, so you're having one of those. You'll have seriously. Can we get a close up? He's sweating. What's going on? Mate, you're sweating.
For people to get anxious, it's just a little reaction.
Sugar.
That's unbelievable.
It's always good to come and tell him Fatty looks after you. Thanks, bro.
I'm looking after you, champ.
It's a test of not only your fitness physically, but mentally in those games when it comes down to the end, and you've got to fight off those little demons that are in the back of your head, which plenty of people have.
Well, you've played plenty of rip football over the last few years. Do you think now that the season is too long, too short, or just right?
That's probably one with 30 rounds, I think it's too long.
Yeah.
It drags on, and it's for the guys who play, the rep footy where it's Origin and then there's a Four Nations. It seems to be a long year, and then the World Club Challenge. The guys who went to Melbourne last year, they've had a huge 18 months.
Yeah.
Being a player and all competitive people, everyone wants to play in every game possible because you want to do the right thing by your club. And the more rounds, guys are going to keep putting their hands up because they want to do the right thing.
Yeah, I think it's too long. I think the season's too long as it is now. I think they should look at shortening it, not lengthening it. Let's move on to the Titans taking on the Knights. That's on Sunday afternoon up there at Skill Park, and I'll have to start again with you again, Kirk, because big task for you. I know that was a great win to come from behind and get up in the last 2 minutes, but after a game like that, do you sort of go easy for the next few days at training?
Yeah, I mean, I like to get back into a bit of training straight away just to try and flush out a bit of the soreness, and we've done that yesterday. So looking forward to getting up there, and then we've got the bye the following week, so it'd be nice to sort of wrap up 6 points 3 weeks in a row. Would be nice going into the bye.
You spoke about the Monday night curse. No one does any good after winning on Monday night.
Really?
I hate to jump that.
Thanks for that. We might have to change that up. I mean, it's always a tough test at Gold Coast up there, but it's a good ground. I like it. I like playing there, and hopefully get a win up.
You played them recently, Todd. What do you make of the Titans?
Yeah, obviously they're without Prince this week, but every time they lose Prince, Preston seems to step up. So and obviously home ground advantage. That's why I went with the Titans. But I was just talking to Kurt out the back when we played the Knights, they were red hot.
Yeah.
So their winger Aku.
Yeah, Guata. He's been one of our best this year.
Good player, isn't
Fiji
he?
flyer.
That battle between Kevin Gordon and him. I mean, they're both so quick, aren't they? Look at this footage here. They are both down touch lines.
What's your spin on him being able to play start of Origin?
Kevin Gordon?
No, Aquila. Kevin Gordon definitely should be in the run. He's a left winger. Aquila. What do you think?
Well, where's he from?
Well, he's Fijian born, but he's been here since, I think, 14.
He's been here, he's been here since a young boy.
And he wants to
because
play
he
for
played
New
with,
South Wales.
with Fiji, I think, last year. But he's not eligible, unfortunately, which...
No, really?
Yeah, I think he would have been...
I would have thought that he would be eligible to play. If he's come up from the junior systems of New South Wales, then he should be eligible to play.
Yeah. Well, there's a system, they say, if you play for even Fiji or the emerging nations, like, you can't play for 2 years, which... Tough.
I think he's going to have a crack at it next year and reapply for it.
All
so
right.
hopefully he gets the green light.
Now it's time for Andrew Vossy with Around the Grounds.
Can you really get away with that? Hello?
Yes, let's get straight on the attack tonight, and around the grounds we're going to talk about the send-off rule in light of some pretty serious charges over the last week and a half. First of all, Luke O'Donnell in State of Origin with a dangerous tackle on Darius Boyd. Now, are you aware we haven't had a send-off for a dangerous tackle in 15 years, 1995, the last time there was a send-off. And then Monday Night Footy, the charge against Timana Tahu ended up a reckless tackle. Why no send-off? These days it seems you're unlucky to be sent off, whereas in the old days in commentary we'd say, well, gee, he's lucky to stay on. I asked the referee's boss, Finch, today, did he believe the send-off rule still existed?
The bottom line of it all is we've had a couple of send-offs that in the end weren't send-offs, and we had one last year where the Cronulla player was sent off and was exonerated for that. So quite clearly we need to be, the referees need to be very, very sure of the information they've gathered that the right decision is made. And in the end, that's their job.
Now, a little bit of team and injury news. First of all, on our Sunday game on Channel 9, it's the Titans versus the Knights up at Skilled Park. Now, the Newcastle Knights have Isaac Gois with a fractured hand, although he's set to risk that injury and play. I'm told that the Newcastle Knights in the next 24 hours or so will sign Antonio Kaufusi from the Cowboys, but he won't play and make his debut with the club on Sunday.
Listen, Kurt, Origin's team's picked on Monday. Are you going to pick a decent team or what? You going to have a crack this time?
I'll have a crack, mate, as long as I'm there. I'm back for another. I'm back for another go.
Yeah, leave it on. No.
No, yeah, mate, I'm prepared to have another crack. I'll do my best.
Do you feel as though? Do you think you're safe to be in the team?
I never think I'm safe. I always like to hear my name read out before I pack my bags. That's for sure. So wait till Monday night.
All right.
A major signing for the Newcastle Knights, with Queensland forward Neville Costigan leaving the Dragons at season's end and joining the Knights on a 3-year deal. The good news kept coming for Newcastle today, scoring an impressive win against the Titans on the Gold Coast.
Offloads to Mullen. Mullen looks to his outside, goes short and delivers a pass to Zeb Tahu.
The Knights snapped the Titans' run of 2 straight wins with a 24-16 victory.
Obviously really happy with the win. We know we can do better, but I was happy with some of the qualities that come out of the game as far as we're concerned, and that's important for our club at this particular stage.
I don't think we ever really had it. Probably for one stage in the first half where we led 12-6. It was pretty much their game from when they had the lead from there on, I thought.
The Titans' young cheerleaders gave their best, but the players didn't respond. Mullen's pass to Tahu was perfect as the Knights hit first.
Mullen looks to his outside, goes short.
It finished with the Knights scoring 4 tries to 3, giving them their first back-to-back win for the year.
The Guava bounces off Campbell.
Clinton Fletcher, 9 News.
Special guest host tonight. Let's get to these two blokes actually sitting together and friends. Adam MacDougall and Wendell Saylor. Welcome, boys. Now let's get on to you two, because over the years, I don't think I've seen a more fierce rivalry between two players than you two. Is there a genuine love, hate, respect, no respect between you two?
You go, mate. I've done enough talking tonight.
Oh, look, you know, I love playing against Wendell. Everyone can see why. He's you know, he's a guy that talks the talk, and you know, you sort of rise to the challenge when someone talks the talk. So it was always a pleasure to play the second best winger in the game, and that's what always got myself up there.
You actually, this is last year, isn't it?
Yeah. That's when I done my hamstring.
Well, actually, I was told otherwise. I was told you went up at half-time to buy yourself a pie, and you didn't come back. But,
I scored 2 of those early in the first half. You saw that. Actually, you scored a try too, didn't you?
I did, mate. Yeah. But, no, it was always good. We always had good times off the field. And I just think the game's lacking that a little bit now. I'd love to see some more guys come out there and put themselves out there and build some rivalries amongst each other.
And I've got to say, look, I played against some pretty good wingers in my time, you know, in rugby union and rugby league, and I always had trouble with this guy. And Andrew Johns used to say that he used to talk to his legs before he played the big Dell. So I knew why he did that, because I was one of the best in the game. I think 7 years in a row I got voted the best winger in the game. So, and I don't want to talk myself up, but also when I won the 2000 Cup World Man of the Match, MacDougall was in that team. But I will say this: in Origin, I think you scored what, 6 or 7 tries?
Yeah, I scored a few.
I scored 1 try, and it's fair to say that Dukes had the wood on me in Origin. Yeah. I hate to say that, but as good as I was, he had the wood on me a little bit.
Well, I must admit, sitting back watching him on TV at the moment, I must admit that I'm envious, and so I've come up with my own marketing idea. And
you have? Okay.
It's the I'm a bit of an entrepreneur. It's the Wendell Sailor Survival Pack, and after we went away together...
What's in that?
Well, I came up with a few ideas. Firstly, when I roomed with the Dell, I needed a drill to take the hinges off to get him his arse into the door.
Right. Nice.
And obviously, if that didn't work, I had to take a few more inches off.
Mars wasn't that big back then.
Mate, it was quite big, don't worry about that.
That's where all the power's from, you know that.
I do know that. Then obviously, there's a few tablets I had to take being with Dell. Obviously, firstly, the no-dose, because after talking to him about himself all the time, I'd try not to fall asleep.
You sure they're not yours?
No, and then I'd have to take the headache tablets, because he'd give me a headache talking about himself.
Any
I'm sure if I'm
earplugs?
here tonight...
No earplugs, Ed?
Well, actually, if they didn't work and the ears started to hurt, I'd put these on.
This is it. That's it.
And then, obviously, I didn't want to be rude to the Dell, so all he ever did was talk about himself, so I'd pretend I was still awake and listening to him. I put these on. And then, obviously, finally, because he talks so much plop, his breath would get quite bad, so from time to time I'd have to offer him a few Tic Tacs, so you can sell why.
Nice survival kit. What about you, Dell?
Well, look, MacDougall, you know, he was a very good player. We all know that. He was injured a fair bit. And I suppose now, you know, Stephen Price, he's retired and I've retired. So, MacDougall, you are now the oldest player in the game. I was doing some stats, and I think on average, how many years you played at top? Played at top four?
Oh, mate, don't know now. I've forgotten.
Yeah,
I'm sure you know.
15, 16. You probably average 10 games a year. So yeah, good work.
That's good. Well, also I've noticed you know, the big Dell.
Here we go.
You know, out in the
Keep it going.
out
It's
in the
Dell
multimedia
time.
and stuff like that, and there's a few pictures going around which
yeah.
I'm sure that have been doctored. That's the real Dell.
Is this the have a look? Is that you're going to end up like that, Dell?
Yeah.
Think you will?
Nah, I'll be all right. I'm looking good. Have a look at me.
All right, you boys are doing a challenge later in the show, in a segment for the whole segment. That'll be interesting.
I'll probably win that one too.
Good to see you're here, Adam, tonight, because I want to ask you about Timana Tahu. We had Kirk Gidley on last week, and he was straightforward talking about Timana. Now, you've been a great mate of his for a long time. You played together at Newcastle. What was your take on what happened a couple of weeks ago?
Well, I personally expected it. You know, he's an aggressive player, and you know, the whole thing being blown up in the media and stuff, he's going to be high on emotions with a point to prove, and he come out certainly fired up, and when you play aggressive like that, you know, things can go wrong pretty easily. So I wasn't surprised to see how pumped up he was, but as I said, you know, it was just one of them nights where I feel for him. He's had a tough few weeks. Same with Joey. You know, they're both good mates of mine, and you know, it's really upsetting to see what's happened to the both of them. And this situation was always going to probably be a precarious one where emotions could boil over on the night.
Were you surprised, though, that he did snap like that?
Oh, look, no, not really. I think no one could really judge Timana, given the fact what he's been through. I could only imagine, you know, the media pressure and stuff like that. But, you know, whether or not it was a good decision for him to play or not, it's all great in hindsight. Maybe he shouldn't have played. But, you know, I certainly knew personally going into the game, marking up against him, that I was going to have to come out and meet fire with fire because he was going to be pumped up for a big game.
I have heard stories from the night that Timana was actually calling Newcastle players rednecks. Did you hear that or hear of it?
No, I didn't personally, but obviously, you know, on the field, you know, things are said sometimes, and, you know, in the heat of the battle, you know, there's emotions and stuff like that. And, you know, Timana's a great fella, and, you know, as I said, that night wasn't a reflection on him as a player. He was obviously emotional, and, you know, same as Joey, you know, I can go to defence for Joey. He's a great fella, and, you know, I've seen Joey over the years, you know, give, whether it was the Islander boys or the Aboriginal guys, you know, he was sponsored off Nike, 3 pairs of boots and stuff like that. He's always been, and Wendell could stick up for him too. No one's here to stick up for him. What he said was done, but, you know, he's certainly not a racist, and, you know, he's a great fella, and so is Timana. I don't think his actions that night really did himself any favours because they're both great fellas.
And it's good to hear that they finally got together the other night, and hopefully they've sorted it out.
Yeah, with the Indigenous Council and some of the NRL, they got together to talk. But also, one thing that I heard about Joey, before that event, I think one of the boys was kicking the ball, hit a young Indigenous boy, whether he's Indigenous or not, and Joey gave him his boots. You know, that's the sort of thing Joey does. I mean, you know, it doesn't make him a better bloke, but he's not a racist.
MacDougall takes the ball off him. MacDougall goes in. MacDougall is right on him.
He had a cape on, he flew in.
If Sailor Sailor's the bus, then MacDougall's the conductor.
Enormous effort.
I'm really surprised that MacDougall's playing. He usually has a couple of weeks out, doesn't he? So I don't even know if he's played 100 games yet. He's been around that long.
Now MacDougall lines Sailor up and hits him equally hard. Where's MacDougall? Here he comes. Goes back to Sailor. Tries to chip it in behind him for Wendell. Sailor making the turnstile sing tonight.
Great football, but I'm serious. They should change the colour of his jersey. It's not doing his backside anything.
Everywhere Wendell goes, MacDougall is on his out. Got MacDougall on his outside. He'll get one back on Wendell. Sailor chips over the top, gets it on the full, goes straight back to Wendell. Sailor, and Wendell Sailor has a double.
We're going to sort this out once and for all. Who is the king of the veterans, the great Dell and the great Adam MacDougall? And Dell versus Dog. We haven't done this one for a while. This is we blew this up about 15 years ago, but we brought it back. So this is like Jeopardy. Yep. So Dell, you can ask. We'll start on you first. Yep. You can only ask questions about Mad Dog, or this the Alive or Gone.
Yeah, I'll go like $100 the first one there on
the dog.
Yeah.
Right. Sweet. If Adam wasn't a rugby league player, what does he think he would be?
Personal trainer.
A personal trainer? No, he thinks he'd be what, Adam? Do you got no clue, have you?
He doesn't.
If he doesn't,
I'd be an accountant or...
No, he thinks he'd be a pro surfer.
Oh, he didn't even know himself.
No, that's all right. Pro surfer.
I can do anything.
Adam, you're up.
Oh.
I'll go 500 for Dell.
500 for Dell. Straight to the big stuff.
No mucking around.
It's a video question. What happens next? And then we'll ask the question.
Chance again for the Knights. Matthew Johns to Andrew. Gets through them. Straight past Ricketson. Has...
What happens next?
I score, obviously.
You score?
Should.
Mate, 2 metres out from there, I'm not sure. Let's watch.
He wasn't a prolific try scorer.
Past Ricketson. Has support. Gives it to McDougall.
Yeah. No try.
That's obviously wrong.
No, wrong. No try.
Wrong. Dell, you're up.
I'll go 1,000, thanks.
The dog?
Yeah.
Righto. Adam MacDougall's one of only 5 Newcastle players to appear in both of their grand final winning teams. Name the other 4 players.
Oh, mate, that's just ridiculous.
I'll tell you, well, if you name 2 of them, I'll...
Yeah, Andrew Johns.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah?
Ben Kennedy.
That's wrong. There was Billy Peden, Mark Hughes, someone else.
I'll go 1,000 as well, thanks.
1,000 on the Dell. Dell scored 127 tries in his career. Which 2 teams did he score the most against?
That's easy. Penrith and Canterbury, because they weren't very good at the time.
That's right, Penrith and Canterbury. That's unbelievable.
I've been doing this study.
I can smell a little stitch up here.
500 there on the Mad Dog, thanks.
On the dog? Righto.
That's a stitch up, mate.
That sounded like a stitch up.
Yeah,
He's a smart bloke.
Google.
The
Go to Google.
It's another video question. What happens next?
Okay.
Yeah, what happens next?
I think Nathan Smith pulls down my pants and I chuck a big black eye. Oh, sorry, dark eye out there.
Yes. Let's see.
And a lot of ladies were happy out there.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Still going, righto.
That's for you, ladies.
And gentlemen.
Yeah.
Score check. Let's have a score check. I think it's 1,000 to 500.
I'll go 1,000 alive or gone.
1,000 alive or gone. Anne B. Davis, who is Alice from the Brady Bunch. Is she alive or is she...
She's alive.
She is alive, yes! All right, boys, move up over here now. This has got the punching bag thing. This is the end of that.
Ladies first.
Who's up first?
Ladies first. Ladies first.
Go, Dell.
Dell, you're first.
Here we go. What are you doing? Going 3 times? Go.
You're first, all right? You ready? So, I'm going to put the coin in, and you pull this down and you punch it, all right? And then we're going to register. All right, pull it down. 6'5'8". Not bad.
Come on, fool. You talking to me?
That's it. I've got no more points. Down here, boys, for the last bit of the challenge. You're under pressure, Dell. You're behind a long way, champ.
Yeah, okay.
Here we go. One at a time, all right? Dell, you're up first.
Mate. Go. I'm straight back. Oh!
So we got one yet. I'm just going to keep them coming.
Oh, pop, yeah.
And how are we going? Anything? How many are we doing? 5 each, I think. And I think this is the last one. Yeah, that's it. Nice. Come in, boys. Have we... Very nice, very good. Have we solved the issue? Who's the better? Let's go to the final scores. The dog was 7,500. Well done, boys. All right, we'll take a break. Come back with Mario Finnick after this.
You're wounded. You've hurt your elbow. You're bleeding
I'm
from
wounded,
the elbow.
you know, look, I bleed for my teams and I bleed for the Red V, so you know that. But the humble side of me, well done to MacDougall, so yeah.
And now you're bleeding for Channel 9, mate. Don't worry, we're all doing that. And it just leads us tonight to say goodbye to all the panel. It could take a while. I want to thank Mark Gazier. Welcome back to Australia. MacDougall, champion.
Now, Danny Buderus, for all you Newcastle fans that were hopeful that he'd come back, well, we know now that he's not. He's continuing on with Leeds United. He's extended his contract over there, and he must be enjoying it. And the word is he's playing some good football, as he always did, or great football, as he always did back here in Australia.
It is NRL time on NRL Sunday. The Newcastle Knights at home to the Cronulla Sharks. The redeveloped Energy Australia Stadium is the venue. The grandstand continues to grow behind us here, and it's been a wet old afternoon so far in Newcastle, but the rain has cleared for the time being. It seems to be moving to the north, so that is good news for the fans that are here to see their beloved Newcastle Knights take on Cronulla. And Gary Belcher, it is a big game for both teams. If they are to have aspirations of making the 8 this year, which I'm sure both teams do, today is the game that both of them would be expecting to win.
Oh, absolutely. It's really important for both teams, and although a lot of people have written the Sharks off, they're still in the hunt. They're only a couple of points behind the Knights, and a win today will have them 4 points out of 8. The Knights, if they can get up, well, they're only 2 points, one win out of the top 8. So look, it's been a scrappy season for both teams in some ways, but today, very important.
Yeah, well, Newcastle's home form has been a bit patchy this year, and Cronulla's away form has been outstanding. So we'll see what happens today as we look at the Newcastle lineup for the game. Just a minor change. Isaac de Gois, who's coming back from injury, will start the game on the interchange bench. Matt Hilder will start in jumper number 14. Antonio Kaufusi will be making his debut for Newcastle this afternoon, but that's a pretty solid-looking side for the Knights. Of course, no Steve Simpson, still out with injury. Rogers and Mullen in the halves. Adam MacDougall and Junior Sauer. Pretty impressive centre pairing. Where do you reckon Kirk Gidley will spend most of the day today?
Oh, he'll play a lot of fullback because you've got de Gois is going to come on at dummy half at some stage for Matt Hilder, and Hilder will slot back into lock. But then I guess late in the game as well, when you need the tempo lifted a bit, you bring Gidley into Kirk Gidley into dummy half. He did a wonderful job, didn't he, lifting New South Wales on Wednesday night when he came on. So yeah, he can do that for any side. In the wet, a little bit more difficult, but yeah, he'll play all over the place, as you know. He could be in the halves at some stage too.
Welcome back to Energy Australia Stadium. The rain has cleared, but some dark clouds still hanging around. Hopefully the game will be played in dry conditions this afternoon. Luke Cavell will be a little bit nervous coming back from that radical knee surgery, but so too for the Newcastle Knights' Antonio Kaufusi, who of course has been released mid-season by the North Queensland Cowboys, a former international playing his first game today for the Newcastle Knights.
He hasn't played a lot of football this year, Antonio Kaufusi, maybe a bit of Queensland Cup lately, but I'm sure it's been at least 3 weeks since he's been on the park, so he'll be a bit short of a run. He arrived here last week, of course, but the Knights had the bye, so he's been waiting to get a chance. He's going to come off the bench at some stage. I'm sure he's out to give a great first-up impression. Antonio Kaufusi, very good player, of course, and he signed until the end of 2011, so no doubt he's a part of the future plans here at the club.
Yes, and he'll be looking forward to getting his first hit up this afternoon. Well, who do the punters see as being the favourite this afternoon? It is the home team, who have a pretty poor record at home this year, just 2 from 7, or is it the away team who have won 3 in a row? Well, that's pretty good value for the Sharks at $2.90 for a team that's won its last 3 games on the road, up against a team who has only won 2 of 7 at home, their last 7 at home.
And some talented players have come back into this Sharks team, haven't they, with Gallen and Barrett and Snowden. So look, I think they're good things at $2.90.
Let's head down to the touchline for the first time this afternoon and say a very good afternoon to Renee Gardner, who has a special guest.
Thanks, Mark. Yes, I do have a special guest joining me as Knights score sensational, or back in the day, he used to be the score sensation. I have Ashley Gordon. Now, Ashley, you were one of the first players to be signed by Newcastle Knights in '87, the year before they came into the competition. How did that come about?
I had a pretty good schoolboy career, so I played state and Australian schoolboys when I was a bit young, and when I was 18, I was playing first grade with the local South Newcastle team, so yeah, I was lucky enough to be the first one signed after that.
Now, it wasn't that long ago, 91 and 95, you played country origin, but how different is the game now to then?
Oh, it's a lot faster, much more physical. I think that's to do with the players too. They're so much bigger now and stronger. The game's changed and there's more wrestling, a bit more sort of people around the rucks and lying on players, and but it's still great to watch.
One of the family members for you today, he was meant to be playing before being drawn out with a hamstring injury. Isaac Gordon, does he come to you for much information?
Not a lot. He's got great support networks around him. His dad does a wonderful job looking after him, but he's got some great coaches down there at Cronulla too. So, but he's been in the system a long time down at Cronulla, so they've really brought him on slowly, but I think the best of him is yet to come.
Both being wingers, do you see any similarities between yourself and Isaac?
I think the speed, first of all, but we do like scoring tries. We do get a bit greedy and probably cranky if we don't get the ball and the opportunities, but I'm pretty sure if he gets the opportunities, he'll take them, but he's one really, really quick player.
Looking for today's game, they're both 2 desperate teams. They both have to win around 75% of their remaining games. How do you see today unfolding?
Yeah, if the Knights bring their A-grade game here at home, they're very, very hard to beat. So if that's here today and it gets into a grind, I'm pretty sure we'll come home towards the end.
Thanks for your time, Ashley.
Thank you.
Ashley Gordon there, the first signing of the Newcastle Knights, and it seems a long time ago that the Knights, over 20 years.
Yeah, what a talented player he was too. We're talking about his speed, and he was a great player, but I seem to remember him kicking a winning field goal. I think that the first trophy the Knights ever won was the World Sevens back in the 90s, early 90s, and he kicked a massive field goal for that, or a massive shot from out wide, and yeah, he was a talented player, no doubt at all.
And the Newcastle Knights edge ever closer to the top 8 with a comprehensive victory over Cronulla Sutherland, full time at Energy Australia Stadium. Newcastle 21, Cronulla 10. They were the better side, a disappointing Cronulla. But geez, we saw some of the Adam MacDougall of old. He's downstairs with Scott Sattler.
Well, mate, 3 games in a row now, 3 wins. You have to keep putting those games together when you come into finals.
Yeah, look, we've been winning ugly, but at the end of the day, a win's a win, and end of the year, they suppose don't show how pretty you win. It's at the end of the day, it's 2 points.
A lot of opportunities in attack today. Was there a bit of frustration not being able to convert those?
Yeah, definitely. Look, at the first half, we had a plan to shift the ball wide, and seemed to go away from that a bit in the second half, but seemed to get a little bit, I suppose, scared when we got in the front, and probably try to protect our lead rather than just play a bit of footy.
How important is that game against the Raiders in Canberra next week?
Oh, it's massive for us, so they're going to be fired up for a big game. They had a great win last night against Manly, so it's going to be another tough one next week.
Now, personally for you, mate, how's that old body holding up? What's going on with Adam MacDougall in 2011?
Oh, look, it's something I'll sit down and sort of discuss with a couple of people in the next week or so, and I'll make an announcement in the next couple of weeks.
Great effort yourself today, mate. Good luck next week against Canberra.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Scotty. Cheers, mate. Thanks.
MacDougall was terrific today for the Newcastle Knights. And they've picked up a valuable 2 competition points, and I think that well and truly puts the end of any hope of Cronulla making the top 8 in 2010. And they'll have to play better than that if they want to win games in the remainder of the season. We will take a break and come back and wrap up NRL Sunday from Newcastle.
The Newcastle Knights now sit just 2 points outside the NRL's top 8 after beating Cronulla in slippery conditions in Newcastle today. 2 tries in the first half set up a 6-point lead at the break before Junior Sau got hold of the ball shortly after the restart.
He'll be hard to stop. Junior Sau's over. A couple of minutes ago he was on his knees. Now he's on his feet. He's up celebrating a try.
Trent Barrett was lucky not to be put on report for tripping, and while Cronulla managed to try with just minutes remaining, they couldn't bridge the gap. Jared Mullen sealing the win with a field goal in the final few seconds. Ricky Stuart was not impressed with the Sharks' scrappy performance.
Pushing passes and not kicking well. And poor decisions from players with the footy. It's never ending story, mate.
Defence in the first half, our goal line scramble was probably the best we've seen this year, and that's probably something I'm happiest with.
It's a very important game for both teams this afternoon, and a key player for the Newcastle Knights is Ben Cross. Of course, being a front rower, he has to do all the hard yards, but he also has some pretty entertaining and interesting times off the field. During the week, he does some radio in Newcastle, and here's a look at the lighter side of one of the tough men of rugby league. Melinda Farrell has the story.
Superb tackle from Ben Cross. He's eaten it. Oh, good shot by Cross.
This is how we're used to seeing Ben Cross, the uncompromising enforcer who rarely takes a backward step.
He loved it. He knows he's hurt him. His physical presence is the big thing for Crossy. He's a big man, and he wants to hurt you when he tackles you, and he wants to put holes in you when he runs. So that's his main aim.
That's probably due to lack of skill and finesse and all that sort of stuff. So I've got to play with what I've got, and that's hard and straight and tackle hard and run hard. So I've got to make the most of the tools that I have.
But the Knights forward is developing some unexpected skills as a regular member of the breakfast team on local radio station New FM.
If a guy wants to be a legitimate contract and play for less money because he wants to be somewhere, well, then he should be allowed to.
Cross has been on the airwaves for around 18 months, ever since a torn bicep kept him off the field for most of last season.
Knights wasn't getting a lot of sort of coverage on the radio, and I just said to our media guy, look, what can I do for the club? And he put me in contact with the radio station he used to work for, and we started doing a brekkie show, and I just started doing it twice a week, and it just sort of kicked on from there.
That's something we like about him, is we get to see the other side of him on the field for the Knights, what he's really like.
And he brings us coffee on a regular basis.
He does.
Yeah, we like that.
If we just say, hey, Crossy's taking phone calls right now about rugby league or NRL issues, they love talking to Crossy. We just, the phones go off and it becomes like the Ben Cross open line.
The 28-year-old also uses the radio show to promote his charity work. He's aiming to raise up to $100,000 for local prostate and breast cancer charities this year, and has been wearing some eye-catching boots to draw attention to his campaign, Cross Runs for Your Life.
Being in position in rugby league and a bit of a name or profile around town, I just thought I could raise awareness and raise funds for these two organisations.
The prop enjoys returning to Canberra, where he started his NRL career, but feels he's a very different player now.
That was a bit of a firebrand sort of thing. I think I got suspended in my first 2 NRL matches. I think that's a bit of a record that I tried. Hopefully someone else can take that off me. It was just how I played the game. It was hard and aggressive. It wasn't until I went to Melbourne under Craig Bellamy. He said, look, you're a good player. Let's just sort of curb your aggressive enthusiasm and channel in the right directions. And I owe a lot to Craig for what he did in my career.
And he still regards his now stripped premiership win with Melbourne as the highlight of his career.
Without doubt, probably the 2007 premiership. And I'll say premiership. Look, we won the grand final. We were the best team that season, and I'll still stick to those memories and fondly and all that sort of stuff, regardless of what outsiders sort of say.
And he doesn't care what Pebbles the dog thinks either. The new FM mascot had an octopus-style go at predicting the outcome of the Raiders clash, and it didn't go the Knights' way.
If I go in there on Monday and we've lost, I'll be kicking that dog.
Pebbles, you should be very afraid.
Yeah, another good story there from Melinda Farrell. And the reason that Ben Cross has got ahead like he has is he had to run off Simon Wolford early in his career here in Canberra.
I saw some highlights there. I think he gave Simon Wolford gave him his first broken nose. One of those short balls he ran on.
He's got a big afternoon ahead of him, Ben Cross today. So does Simon down there in the freezing cold here at Canberra. But both of them are used to it, as is Gary Belcher, a former Raider himself. Very disappointing day for Newcastle, and one man I'm sure that just can't believe what's happened as Ben Rogers is downstairs with Simon Wolford.
Well, Benny, you came here today after 3 straight wins. Would have been looking for a 4th, but things didn't quite go to plan today.
No, they didn't, mate. We got ambushed, to be honest. To say we're ordinary is probably an understatement.
Sometimes you can see these performances coming. How was your preparation during the week? Because you guys would have had plenty of confidence.
Yeah, we did. I think we trained the best we have all year during the week, but we come down here and I think the Canberra boys were going sort of 80, 100 metres a set to score tries, and you can't win footy games like that.
Thanks, Benny. I'll let you go.
Thank you.
And Rogers there with Simon Wolford on a day that was all green. Canberra defeating the Newcastle Knights 52-18. We'll take a break and come back and wrap up a remarkable NRL Sunday.
An incredible 40-point first-half performance from Canberra against Newcastle has kept the Raiders' season rolling along. The Green Machine crossed 7 times before the break.
The best possible start for the home side in the most unlikely way, as prop David Shillington showed forwards can kick.
And Josh Dugan has scored a try that he will never again score in his life.
Less than 3 minutes later, it was a little more conventional from the Raiders.
Down the touchline, unmarked Daniel Vito.
Then, in the blink of an eye, Daniel Vito had a double, and Canberra were putting themselves out of touch. The opening barrage didn't slow down either, as Josh McCrone crossed and the Raiders were up 22-0 inside 15 minutes. Incredibly, the game was all but over at the midway point of the first half.
And Logan is under the black dot.
A second to Dugan soon after, and the statisticians were reaching for the record books. They were looking to rewrite them when Bronson Harrison scored, and it was 40-0 at half-time. Dugan made it a hat-trick just after the break, not through speed but through strength to get the ball down. Terry Campese then got in on the act, and when he crossed, the Raiders hit 50. Finally, the Knights got over the line, but it took nearly an hour. A late flurry was nothing more than consolation, though, as Canberra kept their season alive. Rob Hazel for Sports Tonight.
9 tries in all for the Raiders and a hat-trick for Josh Dugan. The scoreline very important for Canberra, who leapfrogged the Knights on for and against.
Yeah, that was a good win for us. Very good first half.
Every decision that we made, myself or Joshy, McCrone had just come off, and it was just great to see everyone pushing up.
If you want to be a first-grade footy side, defend like that, you get what you ask for.
Yeah, it was a disgraceful performance, and defensively, very poor.
But what about the effort from the Knights? Their coach Rick Stone was pretty disappointed with their effort. He used some pretty strong words to sum up the performance yesterday.
We were in there at half-time saying, this is more than embarrassing, this is disgusting, and it's not what we want to stand for, and it's not what we want to be known for, and it's just has a real bad smell and a weak underbelly about it.
It was a weird performance. They'd won their last, I think, 3 their last 4 or something like that. They had good form going into this game.
I was talking to Rick Stone before the game. They were winning ugly. They weren't playing great, convincing football. They got home against the Sharks. They scraped home against the Eels and beat the Cowboys, I think. They hadn't been playing great footy, and it was just kind of about. I thought it was kind of inevitable, and they didn't play very well. The only thing from the Raiders' point, they scored 3 late tries, the Knights. The Raiders, that's the 8th game in a row they haven't scored a point
in the last 20 minutes. I haven't scored a try in the last 20 minutes. So, yeah, that's going to be... I hope that doesn't come back and bite him.
But Wade, what about the words that Rick Stone used then?
Yeah.
Embarrassing, no underbelly, didn't have a go. Mate, that is strong. That for a coach to come out in a press conference and go, bang, here's the issue. He's a straight shooter, mate. He'll just give it to you straight between the eyes. And I think some of those players getting back on the bus or the plane.
Let's hope that bus trip home badge, eh?
I wouldn't want to be watching the game again.
Well, I know, and he was filthy as well, not just because of the way they played, but he challenged them before the game. He challenged them to not worry about the cold weather or anything else, any other influences, to get out and have a go. Yeah. They didn't. They were poor.
Adam MacDougall, the Mad Dog, the oldest player in the game. He's living on a knife's edge at the moment. He's a chance of being put down due to the salary cap. I'm here in the heart of Newcastle with a little mate of mine trying to drum up support for the Mad Dog. Let's see what we can do. Hey. All right, come on.
You've got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me.
Stop it, licking me. Bastard dog.
Good luck, mate.
This will be our lunch money, Pat, on your birthday.
Oh, Mike, make sure it goes to the Mad Dog.
Yeah,
You said Mad Dog.
Yeah. When was his last try? 98, 99.
The last game.
Was it 98 or 90? That's enough, that's enough. No, don't spoil him. If David Gallop was here, what would you be saying to him?
Oh, more dogs.
Yeah. No way.
I'm going back to New Zealand.
No way. No way. No way.
Sure.
No, I'll end up doing the wrong thing and holding out on him. Save the dog! Save the dog! Save the dog! Save the dog! Do you think they should name a grandstand after him or a toilet block?
Toilet block, it sounds like.
Mad Dog!
Doing the right thing.
Say Mad Dog!
It's evolving now. I'll be waiting, 'cause
Mad Dog! Mad Dog! Collections for Mad Dog. That's enough, that's enough. Yeah, that's too much payments. What part of your body do you talk to before a big event? Or an orgasmic event, what would you talk to?
Talk to?
Yeah. Like he talks to his calf muscles, he says, come on, don't let me down. Don't let me down, don't let me down.
I talk about me back.
Yeah, yeah.
My back.
Save Mad Dog? Save Mad Dog? Right one. Yeah. No. Sure? Oh. Right, time to go home, Dukes. We've had a big day. Been out on the street. You've been great, mate. Thank you.
Sorry, Robbo, but Dirk's cage has already been taken.
What mongrel's in his cage?
Get me out of here, Robbo.
Hey, Mad Dog, how are you?
Mate, just get me out of here.
What are you doing in here?
Mate, I've been here since Sunday's game.
So you should be. You're not the only one. What about Mullen and all the others? This is a joke. Hey, surgery today? What are you getting done?
I don't know.
Not before time desexed. It might make a player of you.
Did it hurt you when you got desexed?
No, it didn't. Made a man of me. This is a joke.
Just get me out of here.
I bite. You can't tackle.
I've got to get to training, Robbo. Get me out of here. Quick.
Tell someone who cares.
Come back, Robbo. Come back.
Some outstanding acting there from the boys. Wow. Cowboys at home take on the Knights. Cowboys are favourites. Unbelievable. Wow. One win from the last 6 at Dairy Farmers and they're favourites.
Can't believe it. Will they win?
And everyone's tipped. Well, that's how bad the Knights went last week. I mean, on the Knights' first half performance last week, you couldn't tip them, and no one has.
40, half time.
Yeah.
You got to feel sorry for the Cowboys a bit. I mean, one guy, Jonathan Thurston's been trying his heart out every week, and you know the game against Para last week, I've never seen anyone try so hard to bring a team back, and you just got to feel for him. You know, his team's not performing as well as they should be. I mean, they got a great team, and he's a great player, so you feel a bit sorry for them. But
I reckon they look like a few of them are trying. I don't know what it is. Like Willie's trying. Yeah. I reckon, like individually, they seem to be trying, but as a team, they just don't be getting it.
You know what? They're shocking. They're shocking.
They're shocking.
And I don't
go the other way.
But they are. They're terrible. And they're no good things to beat the Knights, I don't think.
Well, you tipped them.
Yeah, but you had to make a tip. I've got no idea.
We've heard it officially. Darryl Broman has no idea.
Just some injury news. Newcastle hammered by injury. Richie Faoso had a neck problem, couldn't get back out there. At the airport today, Benny Rogers was in a wheelchair. He's got an ankle problem. They'll need scans on that. A knee injury for James McManus. And Isaac de Gois, or de Gois, as some people like to call him. He's got a lot of stitches around the mouth. Also had a hamstring problem. So Newcastle, all sorts of dramas there at the minute, Pete.
I've never heard him called de Gois.
I like it though. I like Isaac de Gois.
Where's de
Gois? But I like de Gois. Don't you like it?
No. I'm keen to find out whether you're talking Phuket or Kuta. You're talking Cootamundra or you're talking Bali?
Now, the action down Tupou's side of the field because Aku Uati was in form again last night. Now, we are getting a great highlights package out of this bloke every single game. And it was a mixed bag for him early last night. But you know that at some point in the game, no matter what the score, this bloke is going to come up with a crowd-pleasing moment. He's great for the game, isn't he?
He's unbelievable. And scored the try that got him, they gave him a chance, brought him back into the game. He had a couple of little fluffies, but have a look at this. Right foot step, beats Jonathan Thurston, and have a look at his footwork. Right, left, right, flicks him away.
Is he in the Manu Vatuvei category of entertainer, do you think?
Yes. I don't think he's quite at... Is that up at that level or down at that level in terms of...
When talking about the game's entertainers, Manu Vatuvei is up here. I'm just wondering whether you're trying to put him on the same plane as
Look, I would. From entertainment point of view, but he doesn't make the handling errors that Manu can make, and then everyone comes over and acknowledges and smiles about it.
So we need more handling errors from a Kirk? Is that what you're saying?
If he wants to get as good as Manu, then yes, I suppose he will.
We need more clangers. Yeah.
It's an interesting argument line that you're pushing there, Gus, but I think you're right.
It was a golden point thriller between North Queensland and the Knights. 19-year-old Will Tupou handing the Cowboys their first win in 5 games.
Still going! Still going! What an incredible try!
It wasn't without controversy.
I think the pass was forward. I was pretty much in line with that. They might say the same about our last try.
And Rick Stone was on the money.
They'd probably matched the pass that went to their last try on the left side of the field.
Vuna's try and Kurt Gidley's conversion levelled it up at the death before Tupou's touchline dance secured a golden win.
And will crown the new king of the pentathlon.
I have to fess up. I'm really a halfback in a props body.
G'day everyone and welcome along to NRL on Fox. I'm Ryan Phelan. Joining me, the super squad of Wendell Saylor, Gary Freeman and Laurie Daly. Great to have you in, boys. Another busy show to get through as usual. Now, we have to head to our props pentathlon champion, and it's Ivan Tuamavave. He becomes the second winner of the highly coveted trophy. He's received the gong in a very moving ceremony, I think it's fair to say. But before we see that, let's remind ourselves of how he stole the glory.
First goal, we have the 30-metre field goal, so here we go. Here we go. Yeah. Oh, are you serious? If that goes... Mate, that was pretty easy. Should we go 10 metres back, or what do you want to do?
I think we should take us halfway, to be honest.
Ivan, here we go. Let's get this in. Oh, good service with the pass. Good strike from foot. There we go. Drop. That's 2. Second to last skill. Ivan has to chip and chase, and I think he's going to do it. It's 2 from 3, so we really need this. Let's go, boy. Here we go. He fends it off. He gets the ball. He goes. Chips it over the top. Is he going to get it? Yes! It's a try! Oh, what celebration is that? You can do a lot better than that. No, that was good.
Thanks.
That was very good. Thanks. Mate, if you could score that try like that, mate, I will be your best friend forever. I'll give you hugs and kisses. All right, right to left. Oh, you nailed it! You nailed it! Yes! Mate, that was unbelievable. I think cut Kurt out, Jared. Mate, you couldn't even be wearing the 1 and the 7.
Mate, there's a new chief in town, dude. Did you look at him?
Hey, Cooper Vuna here from Newcastle Knights, and this is Ivan Tuamavave. Mate, great work. Who would have thought that you would come away with it?
Yeah, mate, I have to
fess up. I'm really a halfback in a props body, so, you know, I felt a bit guilty about winning the award.
For all the kids out there, you know, with all the skill that you had, with all your kicking skills, and just with that pass to come away with the win, any thoughts for the kids?
Oh, you know, just practice and listen to your mum and dad.
Well, we got one more question for you. Just with the props pentathlon winner last year, George Rose, any thoughts for him?
Oh, you know, Georgie was last year, I'm this year, 2010.
That's it, mate. I gotta have to give it to you. The trophy's all yours, just with the pot belly there with a bit of Krispy Kreme on it, but that's yours. Congratulations.
Sweet. Kind of looks like you, Coops, but I'll take it.
Ivan Tuamavave, 3.5 points he scored with to be the 2010 Props Pentathlon winner. And next week we've got a special celebrity guest. We can't tell you just yet, but a special celebrity guest for the Props Pentathlon next week. Now, while we're on the subject for the Knights, let's check out a pretty short list of players off contract at Energy Australia Stadium. And there are one or two names here they'd be keen to keep. Probably the biggest one amongst them, Ben Cross. But Dell, the Knights have been either electric or shocking this season. So where do you think they need to improve next year?
Yeah, well, they've been very inconsistent, but like Ben Cross, when he's on the field, he plays a very direct game, and you know, for guys like Corey Patterson and Zeb Taylor coming through, be good to have him there. I'd sign out of MacDougall, but he only plays about 8 games a year, so Mad Dog, you're out there. And Steve Simpson, I think he was talking about retiring. He's had a few injuries, but look, he plays direct, and that's what Newcastle need. And over the years, they've had Tony Butterfield, who's been awesome, and they had Paul Harrigan, and they just always have had some good front rowers. So I think they need to hold on to him, and hopefully he gets re-signed.
And the Newcastle Knights, of course, have a big game on Monday Night Football, which you'll see here exclusively on Fox Sports against Manly.
What a game.
It's here. Monday Night Footy comes here from Newcastle. It's round 21 and a killer the thriller. He's on deck. Can he lift the Knights at home? Or it'll be the other big unit, T-Rex, providing some destruction for Manly. It's two of the game's most exciting wingers as the Knights take on the Seagulls live on Monday Night Football. Looking forward to this one. G'day everyone, great to have your company on Fox Sports. We say a very good evening to Warren Smith, Laurie Daly and Greg Alexander. G'day fellas.
G'day boys, it is very cool as Andy told you up here in Newcastle. Don't know what we're going to get tonight from both of these teams, to tell you the truth. Everybody at the moment jostling for position in the top 8. The good teams seem to be making a bit of a run at the right end of the season, and Manly, well, they've looked more like the team we thought they were, Brandy, of course, up until recent times, but the jury is still out for some people.
Yeah, I think so, Was. Look, 1 from 5, they've come through that pretty tough period that led into the Sharks game, but they've scored 80-plus points over the last fortnight. Hard to gauge exactly what their form was like from that Cronulla win, because the Sharks just didn't turn up that night. I think there was a lot of things to like out of their win against the Tigers last week, though. I think most importantly, the form of their big game players, the likes of Jamie Lyon, Anthony Watmoe, Glenn Stuart, all had big games against the Tigers last week, and I think that puts them in a pretty good position coming into the last 5 rounds.
Okay, more about Manly in a moment, of course. Let's turn our attention to Newcastle first up and hear from their skipper. It is their last stand tonight for mine. They have to win to stay alive. Here is Kirk Gidley with Andy Raymond.
Kurt, it's about personal pride, I guess, and that can be a pretty powerful motivator.
Yeah, it can be. You know, our home games is something we always like to win, and you always like to have plenty of pride in your jumper. So it's the same against tonight. We'd like to get another win at home.
Up in the front line in jersey number 7, how much changes with your game in this footy side from 1 to 7?
Yeah, a little bit. I guess playing fullback in attack, I play a bit as a fullback, but also as a half at times as well, with getting my hands on the ball at different stages of the game. So I guess defensively is probably the biggest difference from fullback for myself to moving in the halves, which I'm still comfortable with. I enjoy doing a bit of defence when I move up there.
He's a great leader of men, Kurt Gidley. He leads with actions rather than words. He's one of those players that just is in everything. He's got a high energy, got a high work rate. Tonight his role will change in this Newcastle side. Been predominantly playing fullback this season, but tonight he's shifted into the halves through necessity. There's a few injuries in the halves, but I think that'll suit Newcastle. They need Gidley and Mullen to really combine here tonight to be effective with their kicking game, but also to challenge these Manly forwards, these big Manly forwards, with their running games. Both explosive off the mark, and they have the ability to create holes. And if Newcastle are to be successful tonight, Kirk Gidley needs a big game, but they need to make inroads through the middle of the Manly forwards.
It gives Shannon MacDougall another chance at the back. He's been terrific filling in for Gidley throughout 2010. He'll get that chance once again tonight with that man, as you said, wearing the number 7. Of course, Newcastle's hopes of this season were dealt a massive blow before a ball was kicked with the drugs charges off the field, of course, relating to Danny Wicks and also Chris Howson. They've also lost Steve Simpson for a long period this season. I mean, their forward stocks have been tested. Despite that, though, they need to really stand up and make a statement against one of the best forward packs in the comp tonight.
Yeah, there's no doubt that they have been lacking in the forwards, and we only have to have a look at the stats from their forwards. There's not one that has averaged over 100 metres this year. And when you look at the Manly side, they've got 4 forwards playing tonight that get over 100 metres every game. So that certainly is an issue. You mentioned Steve Simpson, Corey Patterson, also not on that list of players, but neither of those players either are averaging over 100 metres. So the go forward has been struggling for the Newcastle forwards, but it's not just the run metres when you look at their forwards and what they're doing. Players like Zeb Taylor, seen very little of football from Zeb Taylor after what he offered last year. Player like Richie Fayesu, who was terrific off the bench and made a great impact for the Knights last year. Very little impact this year, so they need to lift tonight if they're going to get over the top of a Manly pack that is playing at their physically best.
All right, let's get some tips from the boys out of the ground. Let's start with you.
Well, Newcastle might fire up for mine tonight. It is their last stand. If they don't win tonight, I think they are done for 2010. But really, you'd have to be a psychic or a clairvoyant not to be tipping Manly tonight. Manly will win.
I don't know if Newcastle have got an upset in them, so I'm going for the favourites, Manly. There were some good signs against the Tigers last week. You boys have discussed already about those key players, Jamie Lyon, Anthony Watmoe in terrific form, along with the entire back row of Shane Rodney and Glenn Stuart. So Manly for mine.
Yeah, we believe a storm is about to hit. It's only about half an hour away. I think it'll be a tight game, but I think Manly can play in this year's grand final. If they're playing in this year's grand final, they have to beat Newcastle here tonight.
Good calling, boys. Let's now head down to our sideline eye. A very chilly Andy Raymond. Andy, who are you going with?
He's good. which one's Andy? Where is
Andy, is Andy even there?
Yes, we've had a little bit of a discussion. Hang on a minute. You're after my tip, weren't you? We've just been discussing it with the 19 finalists of Miss World Australia. We reckon Manly.
Goodness me, Andy, that shot really does make you look like you do have a bad head because there's some great-looking women out there. All right, let's get some tips from the boys. Gordy, we'll start with you.
I just think, averaging 36 points the last month and the Knights letting in 30, you can't go past Manly for the reasons what the other boys said.
I'm getting worried, Wiz.
I'm not worried because I've gone from last to third place, so I'm going Manly.
Oh, hang on. Go
the Eagles.
We've got a thing called a dirty Monday night pokey curse. We get free spins on the pokies and the other team wins 90% of the time, Junior. Who are you going for?
I'm agreeing with the Miss World finalists.
I'm
going for Manly as well.
It's here. The pokey curse is back again. I'm going Manly. The pokey curse is here. So,
mate, you're a brave man to back Newcastle.
Well,
I know it's a pokey curse and that, but you
can't.
Mate, if you do the stats, I know the game's not played on stats and all that, and you've got to turn up ready to play, but Manly's got a lot to play for.
Stats are in Newcastle's favour. Now they have the pokey curse in their favour. Let's see what the TAB Sportsbet odds are. Manly are hot favourites, $1.40. So, Wiz, do you think with the conditions maybe about to turn and the fact that Newcastle will be up for a home crowd performance, do you think it could be a close one?
Yeah, close one, 1-12. I was actually thinking about going 13 plus. I did say that on 2K Way this morning at 20 points, Manly, but with those conditions going the way they're going to go, I think it's 1-12.
What about first try scorers, guys? I might throw in Steve Matty for my 2 Bobsworth.
No, Glenn Stuart said he was going to score it.
Okay.
I'm going for Glenn.
What about you, Wiz?
Mate, let's go Watmoe. He's got to get back on the
Watmoe.
Kieran Forward's my man. I think he puts himself in the money.
So you don't like Watmoe?
Plenty to come in the post-game show tonight. All the reaction from the match and some big judiciary news, of course, with one of the game's big names in Sammy Burgess. We'll discuss that. We're also going to crack open the fan phone. And we've got another double pass to the grand final for a best caller on the fan phone. So think about your questions and there could be a great prize coming your way. But for now, it's time for kick-off between the Knights and Seagulls, and it's back to Warren Smith and a very chilly Newcastle.
It might be a very wet Newcastle in a short space of time, fellas. It's a night to rug up, get a warm sip of coffee if you're right here with us. Of course, there is so much history between these two sides. Who knows? They just might fire up once again.
And the Sea Eagles on Monday Night Football.
We are live on Monday Night Football right here at Energy Australia Stadium. The Newcastle Knights hosting the Manly Sea Eagles. Manly, of course, coming into this particular encounter in 6th position. The Newcastle Knights down there in 13th, and their home fans hoping to see a win tonight that would keep their faint prospects alive of making the top 8 in this 2010 NRL Premiership. We're not too far away from a kick-off at a very chilly stadium, I can tell you. There is, well, a monsoon by all reports on the way heading up the coast from Sydney. It's already drenched you down there if you're in the Greater Sydney metropolitan area. It's headed here as well. We'll wait and see how long it is before it arrives and what effect it does have on the game itself. The wind strengthening all the time, and the team running from the southern end of this particular venue will have a big breeze at their backs in the first half. Here's the Manly lineup. Farrah, Robertson, Lyon, one of the co-captains, Matty, Williams, Foran and Hodgkinson. The halves have been impressive throughout 2010. The forward pack is King, Ballin, Perry, Watmo, Rodney and Stuart. They were terrific last week, the back rowers. Against the Tigers, the bench, Nullavow, Kite, Rose and Bailey. Looking to make it 3 wins on the trot to solidify their position in the top 8 at the moment, and then the Newcastle Knights' hopes at the same time. But it won't be easy against a side who are playing for their season.
Yeah, last throw of the dice for the Newcastle Knights. MacDougall at the back, Uarte and Furner. The wingers, Sow and MacDougall, as we see MacDougall warming up, testing those shoulders in the centres. Mullen and Gidley in the halves. Kirk Gidley shifted from fullback to halfback for this game. The forwards, Cross, Gois, Kaufusi comes off the bench. He'll start in the front row in only his 4th game for the Newcastle Knights. Tahu, Mika and Hilda are the back row. The interchange bench, Nguama, Edwards, Fayoso and Tafua.
Knights are the winners tonight. They are alive in 2010 for the moment with a 32-14 win over Manly.
Well, a good performance by the Newcastle Knights. They keep their season alive, and that's all they needed to do. They would have taken a 1-point victory against Manly, but I thought they were aggressive in all aspects of their game tonight. They really met the Manly forwards, and when they ran with aggression. They were able to poke their nose through, and I thought it was a terrific performance.
Let's go downstairs right now to Andy Raymond, who's standing by with one of the Knights players.
Yeah, Big Benny Cross, what a start.
Yeah, it was excellent, mate. That's what we trained for all week, was definitely get off to a good start, first 15, 20 minutes of the game, and that's exactly what we did. I think we didn't have to defend for about the first 7 or 8 minutes, so whenever you can do that, it's excellent.
Frustrating part is we all knew it needed to come a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, definitely, but they were pretty tough away games and all that sort of stuff, so we needed to get back home, get our season back on track, and mathematically mathematically still a chance, so we're holding on to that for sure.
17 out of 17 completed sets in the first half. In dry conditions, that's awesome footy, let alone this type of weather.
Yeah, it's true. We really needed to do it. We've been turning over a pretty easy ball the last few weeks, so we sort of knuckled down pretty hard at training and get that sort of right, and it was good tonight. We sort of did it in sort of not wet conditions, but got a little bit wet there at the end.
Well done, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Big Benny Cross there, looking around. They've abandoned us. We were going to go and have a chat with Josh Perry. In fact, here he is, live TV. Let's do it. Teddy, over here, we're live. Not
the ball too quick, and yeah, it was just.
Well, we were going to have a chat there with Josh Perry, but the rain, it would seem, has invaded the electrics, either the camera or the microphone. Bit of a shame, because it would have been interesting to hear what Josh had to say about a little battle. It was a short-lived one, as it turned out, with Ben Cross in that first half. I think we're okay. Let's go back downstairs to Andy.
Yeah, take number 2, Big Wazza. Where were we? Average start.
Yeah, no good that first half. You know, it was too many penalties, and they were playing the ball too quick and just got over top of us, and obviously scored too many points.
I don't reckon there'd be too many games any of you have played where you didn't touch the ball for 9.5 minutes and it was 10-0 before you even did touch it.
Yeah, I think I come off at about the 15 or 16 minute mark. I think we had 2 sets, so you know it's hard to come back from that. But you know, credit to Newcastle, they played really well.
They were good sets though when you had the footy, and a little bit of fire. And it's always like that when you play against a former club. You spend a lot of years here.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'm a Newcastle boy. You know, I was born and bred here, so you know, there's always a lot of feeling. It was my last game here probably, and yeah, I don't know what to say, mate.
Never mind, always next week and a biggie against the Storm.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to say thanks to everyone and all the supporters in Newcastle, and maybe I'll be back here one day, you never know.
Never know, buddy.
Cheers.
Well, that would be something if Josh Perry could make it back to Newcastle at some stage. He's off to the UK Super League, though, in the short term. The Knights, they are winners tonight. Isaac the Gois, he told him so emphatically in defence right there, didn't he? We'll take a break. An hour of post-game show coming up in just a moment. Stick around, still a lot more to come on Monday Night Football.
Let's take some reaction from the victors tonight, the Newcastle Knights. Here's their coach, Rick Stone, and skipper, Kurt Gidley.
Rick?
Yes, mate, absolutely.
Is the disappointing fact you know that you've got it in you, and as a coach, I guess you're scratching your head to say, where was it a fortnight ago?
Yeah, it can be frustrating at times, but sometimes we've taken 2 steps forward, 1 step back in this particular season. I think we're still evolving, but the way we played tonight was hopefully a little bit of a benchmark on where we can be, and the sort of energy and execution that we can bring when our minds are really on the job and our focus is good.
Hard to pinpoint, well, from our perspective anyway, what was first class or better than the rest. From a coaching perspective, what pleases you most?
Probably a little bit of belief and energy were the main things. You know, we come out with a real positive frame of mind. You know, that first half was probably as good as we've played this year in attack, and we probably won a few more play the balls than we have in recent times that created a bit of space for us. Not everything went exactly according to plan, obviously, in the second half, but, you know, I think the desire was definitely there tonight, and it showed when it counted.
Was it a little nervous late when they scored back-to-back?
Yeah, a little bit, for sure, but I thought our energy was still good, even though they did score some tries. You know, our body language was still pretty strong, and, you know, probably we played a little bit for the clock, I suppose, possibly a little bit further out than we would have liked, and, you know, obviously when Mullo scored that last try, it was a nice little icing on the cake for us.
Speaking of complete 80 of the season.
Yeah, possibly. You know, we played pretty well against the Roosters there down at Blue Tongue, but you know, our first half performance was definitely, you know, the best combined performance offensively and defensively that we had. It was good to see us control the game for a change. Generally, we're on the back of opposition teams controlling the game, and, you know, we started well, had a few breaks, and, you know, got off to a good start, but kept going from there, which was pleasing.
Bloke next to you went all right again, didn't he?
Tahu, yeah, he's going great. Obviously, a massive improvement this season, and the belief he's got in himself and the way he's listening to all the coaches and obviously learning each week, he's continued to improve, and, you know, he's you know, he's still got a little bit to go, but, you know, he's far from the finished product. But at the moment, he's still, you know, an exceptional player who's dangerous with the footy, but also improving on his defensive side of the game.
Arku, you seem to enjoy that tonight, 3 of them.
Yeah, mate, it's great. I'm loving my footy.
The crowd tonight, you were, after each try, you were almost talking to them and at the end of the game inviting them back next week.
Yeah, mate, I love the crowds, especially in Newcastle, playing back at home. And got to keep repeating what I do, like in the field on Sunday.
What was the difference between the nights tonight and the nights over the last fortnight? Is it that belief, that energy that Rick was talking about?
Oh yeah, definitely, like energy and concentration.
Yep.
At training and on the field.
Carney, can the belief continue again next week? You know, it's a big home game of the team also won the day that could there. I guess main finals have to lie as you guys have.
Yeah, for sure. I think, look, I think the Dogs were probably as good as they've been for most of the year on Friday night. A bit of the Dogs of last year, really relentless, and the energy was terrific. You know, we've probably put in the same sort of performance for ourselves. So looking forward to Sunday, another game back at home to repay our fans. Every time our fans come out here, you know, some people sort of question, are they really solid? But they're the most solid fans in the comp, and they really get behind us regardless of how we go. So I want to thank them again tonight.
Some people see tonight as an upset. Did you see that, or was that undersell you?
Oh no, not really. You know, probably does undersell us a bit, but possibly on our recent form it hasn't been that good. I think we probably didn't get enough credit for some of the signs that we showed last week. You know, we had a fairly big injury toll, and we had, you know, a lot of busted people, and, you know, with 10 minutes to go we needed 10 points and we kept on finding plenty. You know, I think we got undersold a little bit on our performance last week, and Cowboys were pretty desperate. So, you know, it was good to see things fall into place for us tonight, and you know, obviously getting away to a good start like that is always, you know, the usual makings of a bit of an ambush, and you know, that was what we're after tonight.
Stoney, your thoughts on Jared Mullen tonight?
Yeah, it's good, mate. I've been impressed with Mullen for a long time. I know he cops a bit of a bagging from the press, but you know, how he's composed himself and how he's led this team from halfback or 5'8", depending on wherever he plays. Been really impressed with his leadership and how he's been getting us around the park. I thought his kicking game tonight was outstanding. You know, him and Kirk gives us 2 decent threats from the halves, and obviously Isaac, you know, asked plenty of questions as well, so that was the plan, sort of test him out through the middle.
That's coach Rick Stone. The other guy was not Kurt Gidley. That was actually a Kuyuate. I sold a dummy and I took. Bye for now.
Has been a Fox Sports production for the National Rugby League Partnership.
Plus a cold night. Adam MacDougall tells us if he snubbed a teammate for stealing his try.
Front, Uante's there as well.
Good evening. He boasts a canine nickname and is one of league's real characters, but Adam MacDougall can't believe the outcry over his clash with teammate Aquila Uate. Mad Dog was doing plenty of barking after Newcastle's shock win over Manly.
It was Aku Uate's 20th try of the season, but did it drive a wedge between teammates?
Oh, he stole that one out of the Mad Dog's hands.
Uate's apologies seemingly palmed off. Adam MacDougall accused of putting his pursuit of the club try-scoring record ahead of his team.
MacDougall probably will look at this vision and say to himself, oh, maybe I should have just said, look, kid, well done. Yeah, I am 2 tries short, but I've got 5 games to get him and get on with the game.
Nah, he's still filthy, Mad Dog. I think he's only a couple of tries off holding the club record, so I think that's what he's most filthy about.
MacDougall says he was annoyed at Uate, but not because he poached a 4-pointer.
It could push his mother out of the way to score a try, but unfortunately I've injured. I went into the game with a little bit of an injury, and you know, I've aggravated that injury, and I had to get an injection today in the injury.
And as for Uate's apology,
Yeah, well, he knew he hurt me, so as soon as he hit me, he sort of realised, you know, he's got a big backside on him, Maku. It's nearly as big as Wendell Sailor.
MacDougall went tryless as the Knights slayed the Sea Eagles 32-14. He remains on 80 tries for the club, just 2 behind Timana Tahu's record.
The last thing on my mind is that, you know, when you run out in the field, it's all about winning and doing the best. And, you know, at the end of the day, as a centre, it's my job to let my winger score tries, and I think I'm doing a pretty good job.
And there's no feud.
We're great mates, and, you know, as I said, he's feeling a little bit bad that he hurt me, so... But it's not his fault, you know, these things happen, it was just a collision.
And Ben Cross by name, Cross by nature, as the Knights muscle up. Manly is set to keep centre Steve Matty, with the Warriors giving up on signing the Kiwi star. And it was a blast from the past when the Sea Eagles took on Newcastle last night. Ben Cross and Josh Perry relived the classic Harrigan-Carroll rivalry.
Here is Cross looking for him. Look at his eyes.
Scary eyes, but nothing compared to Desi Hasler's as the Knights took a 24-4 lead in the first half. Aku Uate scored a hat-trick. His third didn't impress the mad dog, Adam MacDougall.
We had every reason to come here tonight and play well.
Jared Mullen clinched Newcastle's 32-14 win. Manly fullback Ben Farah has been named, despite this injury, to play the Storm on Saturday. So while Manly slipped to 6th, the Dragons' boat is taking on water. They could be joined at the top by the Panthers, Roosters and Tigers this weekend. The Rabbitohs and Eels are both 1 win out of the top 8 after defeats in round 21.
There we go. Let's go on more stuff you may have missed. Monday night, Isaac de Gois lets Matt Ballin from Manly know what he thinks. Yes, a good old-fashioned up yours. Fantastic stuff. Suck that.
And as you go to the break, the Nissan Navara Performance of the Week, Aquila Uate.
Luna comes deep. Back for Mullen, who will put it in the air. Some pressure immediately on the back three for Manly. Up above them, Uate! Uate waiting for it at dummy half. He'll be hard to stop. He'll get there for number 2. MacDougall has his nose in front. Uate is there as well. They're in again.
It's the Knights and the Bulldogs on Fox Sports.
It is a picture-perfect Sunday afternoon in Newcastle, and a pretty healthy crowd is up, taking the trip up the F3 to see their beloved Bulldogs try and desperately keep their season alive against the Newcastle Knights team that is still in the hunt, maybe, to finish in 8th position. A good crowd, vocal crowd. They've seen a terrific Toyota Cup, and these two teams, well, their season is well and truly on the line here this afternoon. They lose, and they're done and dusted for 2010. As we look at the team lineups for this afternoon, as the Newcastle Knights fans find their seats alongside the Bulldogs supporters. And speaking of the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs, as per program 1 through 7, that's a pretty impressive back line with Patton at the back and Kamali in the half position. The forwards aren't too bad either. They have made a minor change on the interchange bench where there is no Dean Hallertau. Buddy Gordon, Yelene Gordon comes in jumper number 21. The coach, of course, is Kevin Moore. A few changes for the Newcastle Knights today. Gidley and Mullen are in the halves once again. Adam MacDougall trying to equal Timana Tahu's record for most tries for the club is in the back line. The forwards is where the change is. Antonio Kaufusi will start in 17. No Con Micker, he's done a hammy at training. Cameron Ciraldo starts in 19. Joel Edwards is also off the interchange bench for the Newcastle Knights. And the bench is Tola, Nguama, Faoso and Tofua. The coach, of course, is Rick Stone, and joining me in commentary, Gary Belcher. And Gary, it's going to be tough for the Bulldogs, but while there's life, there's hope, and that's the same for the Newcastle Knights, but they can't afford to lose today, either side, but particularly the Bulldogs.
A glimmer of hope for both teams. I think it's going to be that way for both teams. If they don't get up today, well, they're in all sorts of trouble. 20 points the Knights come into this match on. They need, I reckon, at least 28, probably 35 rounds to go, including this one. Well, you do the sums and it's very, very tight. I think Canterbury, it's just beyond them. They might put up a great fight today and over the next few weeks, but I think they've just left their run too late.
Full time at Energy Australia Stadium. Newcastle Newcastle 30, the Bulldogs 6.
A deserved win, haven't they played great? The Newcastle Knights this afternoon. Plenty of pressure on them in the first half, but they withstood some pretty good football from the Bulldogs, a team that just couldn't quite keep the intensity up. They're gone, but not the Knights. The Knights remain alive. This man was good. Ben Cross, plenty of work.
It was an impressive win, wasn't it?
It was a great team effort. Sometimes you have outstanding performances from one or two players. Well, it's hard to pick a bad player out there for the Knights.
Right across the park, they were terrific.
And isn't Jared Mullen playing great footy with Kirk Gidley on his inside? There's the man there, their leader, inspirational, as always.
Let's head downstairs. Here's Scott Sattler.
Oh, here was Jared Mullen. And Jared, such a dominant performance, especially by your forwards. It looked like your playmakers had all the time in the world.
Yeah, it helps, mate, definitely when the boys are going forward, but like you said, all credit to our boys. They backed up last week. It wasn't a one-off thing for us, so yeah, very pleased.
Enjoying having Kurt at 7?
Yeah, he's good, mate. Takes a bit of pressure off me, and he runs the ball a lot, which helps my game and helps the team's game.
Now, the right side, Uarte gave one back to Dukes today. Looks like they're mates again.
Yeah, mate, Dukes had a bit of a smile on his face, but that's what it's all about, mate.
Finals, is it something you focus on?
Oh, mate, it's a cliche, but we're taking it week by week. I think we're going to win every game going in, but we're up for it. The team's pumped, so see how we go.
Well done, your own performance, mate.
Thanks, Dad.
Well, the Mad Dog has moved to within one try of equaling the club record for most career tries. He's on 81. Uarte could have scored there, but he gave it to Adam MacDougall. He's now within one of Timana Tahu. Can he break the record? We'll find out later. But next week we're in Melbourne for the Storm and the Rabbitohs. Look forward to your company then.
This has been a Fox Sports production for the National Rugby League Partnership.
Newcastle's run towards the finals is starting to gather momentum with a 24-point win over the Bulldogs at home today. The Knights are now just one win outside of the 8 with 4 games remaining.
Knights captain Kirk Gidley started the game at halfback and had an immediate impact in the front line of attack.
The ball is on the ground. That's a try to Newcastle.
Dogs front rower Ryan Tandy copped a double whammy. First a head clash with Antonio Kaufusi and then a wayward forearm from Ben Cross. The visitors' woes compounded soon after when Adam MacDougall sparked a long-range try for Shannon McDonald. They took an 18-0 lead to the break when Isaac de Gois swooped on a loose pass.
The Knights are in again.
The home team were quick out of the blocks in the second half, with Furner getting the benefit of the doubt from the video referee. At the other end, the Dogs continually ran into a committed and stingy Knights defence. On the back of it, they were able to build enormous pressure and rebuild friendships, with Akula Uarte unselfishly repaying Adam MacDougall with a try.
They're friends again.
Ben Barber crossed late for the Bulldogs, but it was never going to be enough to halt the rampant Knights. Bill Walker for Sports Tonight.
The Knights running in 5 tries to 1. Kurt Gidley had a great day with the boot, landing 5 from 6 at goal.
I wanted to make sure that everyone walked away from here knowing who was the most desperate side, and I think we achieved that.
Our execution on plays, which has been a bit of a problem for us throughout the year, was not there again. So yeah, disappointing again.
After the break on Monday Night Footy, Andy Raymond has the team news from Canberra, and we take a look at the Knights' surge towards the finals as the Thriller and the Mad Dog kiss and make up against the Doggies.
Furner, he's into space. Where's the support? He's trying to position Junior Sal. The ball is with Sal. Away from Goodwin. Uarte! He gives it to the Mad Dog. And the Mad Dog is over. Adam MacDougall gets one back.
On Monday Night Footy, we're now at Energy Australia Stadium as the Newcastle Knights take on the Bulldogs, and take them on they did, as did that man Kurt Gidley. Was outstanding yesterday for the Newcastle Knights. It was a performance to behold. And, well, Mad Dog, he fired up as well. Contracts maybe playing on next season, eh, Mad Dog? Well, that performance yesterday certainly would warrant another year in the NRL. It was a good one from Mad Dog yesterday. Jared Mullen taking on the line, well, takes a pass there to Isaac de Gois. They would have an 18-0 lead at half-time, and the game was pretty much done. They just really out-enthused the Bulldogs for the majority of this game. Kaufusi with the try there. Now, this was one of the highlights of the game, of course. The Mad Dog and also Akuuate are both chasing records of their own. Now, this was just a lay-down misère try for Akuuate. He'd back himself 9 times out of 10 from there, but no, it's the square up from last week. He says, Mad Dog, this one's for you. I'm going to give it to you on a platter. What's happening with the skin there on Mad Dog's head, by the way? A bit odd, wasn't it? But it was a selfless act there from Akuuate. Ben Barber, he would make things a little bit more respectable, but could you call a 30-6 scoreline respectable? Maybe not. And even though their season was mathematical, that was quite clearly one of the low points of the Bulldogs' season there yesterday, and we'll hear from Kevin Moore in just a moment saying as such. But we highlighted Jared Mullen in Monday Night Football last week, guys. He was absolutely superb. He was again yesterday, and Junior, you said he needs to play confident. I don't know whether he heard you, but the last 2 weeks he's played confident football, and he's back to that Origin calibre of play that we saw from a few years ago.
Yeah, no, what I said was he's just got to believe in his ability. He's got the full gamut of skills. He just doesn't use his running game or run the ball as much as he should, as he's capable of. He's got great vision, no idea his vision, but when he runs the ball, he puts the defence in a couple of minds. He's got a great kicking game as well. And as we spoke about, and we all agree, when he does step up, the Knights step up, and particularly when he and Gidley both work in tandem, now you're talking about a team that's really cranking.
While we talk, will Gidley stay at 7?
Well, in the context of the team as it is this year, I think he's the best option. Well, there's no better.
And that was there to see yesterday.
Yeah, there's no better number 7 option.
Was perfect in that role yesterday. He really led the side around well.
Yeah, look, I think they'll play him there for the rest of the season, but my own personal opinion...
Well, then who do they buy next year?
Well, I don't know. They have to buy someone because he's the number one fullback for them, and I don't think long-term...
But it looks like he's the number 1, number 7 too.
No, I don't think so.
So he's not their best option at 7?
We just said his best option for the next 5 games to end the season is probably Gidley at 7, but going into next year, I think Gidley's a far better fullback.
Okay.
Plus the flying Fijian who could spark a Blues Origin revival. Knights flyer Akuuate could be the strike weapon the Blues are looking for next year. He'll lodge papers asking to switch allegiance from to Australia this Friday and could play for the Kangaroos in the Four Nations.
Rugby smiling assassin, a star emerging from a year of turmoil in Newcastle.
Everywhere I go, there's always questions from like little young fellas, and I'm happy.
Akuuate is the NRL's leading try scorer with 20, building a spectacular highlight reel. Uate grew up in a Fijian village idolising Raider Noah Nandruku, then Lottie Takiri. Played alongside Jared Hayne in Fiji's 2008 World Cup side, the Eels star became a mentor.
Always a text message every weekend, just wishing him good luck, and he wished me good luck.
But Adam MacDougall is Uate's biggest influence.
I'm just really enjoying playing with Aku. Off the field, have a good laugh on the field.
The 22-year-old wants to use his blistering speed in the Blues and Australian sides. He'll make an official request to League's International Federation this week with his family's blessing.
We play for New South Wales, especially for my mum and dad. It's good for me and my family.
If he improves as much as he has this year, as far as I'm concerned, you know, he'll be the first guy picked for Australia.
And an even bigger hero back home in Fiji.
Every second day I ring home and everyone's always at home, just asking my mum how is he going, has he been ringing every day, so they're loving it over there.
Matt Carmichael, 7 News.